All right. Today, our special guest, I can't tell you how excited I am about this. Miss Bruno from Indian Valley. She is the principal. Raise your hand if you know Miss Bruno from school. All right, maybe. Great. Oh, you are good. Put your hands down. Put your hands down. If not, if you go to Indian Valley, you might know her. You might meet her there, all right? And I have something to tell you, too. When Miss Bruno was your age, I knew her. I was her teacher in kindergarten. And she was such a good student. She really was. She was such a good student. And I know you are too, all right? So Miss Bruno is going to talk to you and read a book, and we'll get started, all right? Everybody got your eyes on Miss Bruno? All right. How about we give her a hand for coming today? Thank you.
Good morning, boys and girls.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Today I'm going to read a book to you, and the book is titled Tad. So, do you see the leaf up there? That is my friend Tad. So, I'm going to read you a book about Tad. So, it says, sometimes the biggest stories have the smallest beginnings. All right, turn your listening ears on. Tad was a frog. Well, that's not quite true. She was almost a frog. Tad was small, smaller than her Tad brothers, smaller than her Tad sisters. Tad was the smallest, almost a frog in the whole wide pond. She was so small that she had to wiggle her tail twice as fast as any of the others just to keep up. Keep up, they would say, or Big Bulb will get you. Tad had never seen Big Bulb. Big Bulb, they say, was a great, big, nasty fish. Big Bulb swam in the deep, dark, murky part of the pond. He was as old as the mud, they say. He would wait till the sun went behind the clouds, till the whole pond was gray. Then he would glide out from the dark patches and gulp. No. Tad did not want to know. She decided to not believe in Big Bulb. But just in case, she kept to the shallow, sunny part of the pond where Big Bulb could not get her. Who was she coming away from? Big Bulb. Okay, let's find out. And when the sun went behind the clouds, she carefully hid behind the rocks and plants, hoping that Big Bulb would not find her. Day by day, the tadpoles grew. They grew back legs, then front legs. They grew webbed toes. Their legs grew longer. Their legs grew stronger, stretching their forelegs as wide as they could. They felt they wanted to climb out of the pond. They rushed into the shallow water quicker than you or I could think. Swoosh, wiggle, swish, swish, wiggle, swoosh. Their tails got smaller and smaller until they no longer had tails at all. We've lost our tails! We've lost our tails, they cheered. All except for Tad. Every night, they would find a big leaf and curl up together. But as the nights passed, Tad noticed that fewer and fewer tadpoles were there to curl up with. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Each night, Tad counted. And her Tad brothers and her Tad sisters, 5, 4, 3. Where had they all gone? She didn't like to think about it. Tad played in the shallow with her Tad brothers and her last Tad sister. You can't catch us, Big Bub, her last Tad sister called out into the shadows. But soon, there were just 2. It seems there are fewer and fewer of us than before, don't you think? Said Tad to her last Tad brother. And then there was only one. But she was strong, and she was clever, and she knew all the best hiding places. Big Bub would never catch her. Oh no, Big Bub! Tad swam faster than she ever swum before. Then Tad did something she had never done before. She swam up and up and up and up. Big Bub sank back to the deep, dark, murky part of the pond, back to the mud where he belonged. Tad climbed up onto a rock, her big round eyes blinking at the bright sky. It felt good to be out of the water. I've lost my tail, I've lost my tail, she sang. Tad was a frog. She had a funny feeling, a twist in her belly, spreading out to the end of her toes. She coiled up tight like a spring, and she jumped. The end.
Yay.
Thank you all. Y'all were such great listeners. Give your own self a kiss the brain. Kiss your brain. Y'all were awesome. Thank y'all so much.
Good, good. Any words about coming to school for the first time?
Well, I have a big school, and some of my friends are here. I'm not going to call out their names because I don't want to leave anybody out. But I have a big school. How many of you know about big school? Once you leave daycare, you go to big school. So Miss Bruno's at the big school, and we have a lot of fun, and we love to read there. And do you all like to read? You like to read? Raise your hand if you like to read. Miss Bruno likes to read too, and I like to be read to as well. So at the big school, we do a lot of reading, and we learn a lot of things. So I look forward to seeing you all in the fall and August. If you come to kindergarten, first grade, pre-K. Some people go to pre-K as well. So I do appreciate you,
Miss Mandi.
Miss Mandi. I was about to call you Miss Cantrell.
That's okay.
But for having me here. But it was a pleasure to read, and anytime.
Well, thank you.
I do appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I told Miss Bruno when she came in, I started to call you Miss Cook too. But I'm so proud of her. She was in kindergarten just like you're going to be a few years ago. And now, look, she's principal of a school. And you will just love her, and you will love school, whether you go to Indian Valley or Coma or whatever school. You will love it. It'll be a lot of fun. You'll learn to read and math and have a great time.
Yeah,
all right.
Thank you.
She's got to head back. Thank you again. I appreciate you coming. Let's give her a hand one more time as she goes. Do you know the song 5 Green and Speckled Frogs? If you don't know it, we're going to teach it to you. Ready? Let me say 5. All right? 5 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Then there were 4 green speckled frogs. Ribbit, ribbit. Now we start with 4. 4 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Then there were 3 green speckled frogs. Ribbit, ribbit. 3 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Then there were 2 green speckled frogs. Ribbit, ribbit. 2 green and speckled frogs sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Then there was 1 green speckled frog. Ribbit, ribbit. 1 green and speckled frog sat on a speckled log, eating some most delicious bugs. Yum, yum. One jumped into the pool where it was nice and cool. Then there were no green speckled frogs. None left. They all jumped in, didn't they? Just like Tad. Well, Tad jumped out, didn't he? He finally turned from a tadpole to a frog and jumped out. Okay, everybody sit back down. All right, the next book is called Fidgety Fish. I think you're going to like Fidgety Fish. You might be fidgety. I know I am sometimes. Fidgety Fish. Tiddler was always fidgeting. He wiggled and squiggled. He darted and jiggled until his mom got fed up with him. Go out into the sea and swim till you're tired, but watch out for the big fish, she said. So Tiddler swam out of the cave. He dived and he flipped, he leaped and he dipped. He sped faster than a rocket and glided gently like a swan, letting the sea currents fan his fins. But he still didn't feel tired. The sea was full of the most interesting things. There were limpets that clung and jellyfish that stung. There was a big, big starfish that didn't do much at all. "Hello," said Tiddler, nudging the starfish gently with his nose. The starfish didn't answer. It didn't even move. A crab sidled by, clicking and clacking its big claws. Tiddler wanted to play with it, but the crab scuttled off and disappeared into the seaweed. Tiddler came to a big, dark cave. It looked much more exciting than his cave back home, and Tiddler swam in. Snap! Everything went dark. Tiddler was trapped inside the big fish. He trembled and shivered, and he shook and he quivered until the big fish's tummy began to feel very funny indeed. It rumbled and grumbled, it turned and it tumbled, it fluttered and groaned and mumbled and moaned. Suddenly, the big fish burped, and burp, swoosh, out shot Tiddler. He shot past the jellyfish and the clickety crab hiding in the weeds, past the starfish, and straight through his own front door. "I hope you've used up all that energy," said his mom. But she would have to wait until the morning to hear about his adventures because Tiddler was already fast asleep. I bet you've played so hard that you fell asleep too. I have. I know. All right. Let's stand up, and I want us to sing about 5 little fishies swimming in the sea. 5 little fish swimming in the sea. Teasing Mr. Shark. Okay, you ready? 5 little fishies swimming in the sea. Teasing Mr. Shark, you can't catch me. Along comes Mr. Shark, quiet as can be, and snap that fish right out of the sea. 4 little fishies swimming in the sea. Teasing Mr. Shark, you can't catch me. Along comes Mr. Shark, quiet as can be, and snap that fish right out of the sea. 3 little fishies swimming in the sea. Tease it, Mr. Shark, you can't catch me. Along comes Mr. Shark, quiet as can be, and snap that fish right out of the sea. What are we now? Two? Two little fish, she's swimming in the sea. Tease it, Mr. Shark, you can't catch me. Along comes Mr. Shark, quiet as can be, and snap that fish right out of the sea. Now, this is the last one, so you got to do it really big. You ready? One little fish, she's swimming in the sea. Tease it, Mr. Shark, you can't catch me. Along comes Mr. Shark, quiet as can be, and snap that fish right out of the sea. That was great. Y'all did a good job. All right. Have a seat. All right. The next book is about a mermaid, and her name is Oona. Well, Oona was sweet and a little bit salty, like the ocean where she lived. She was also brave and curious, like most treasure hunters. When Oona was just a baby, no bigger than a scallop, she chased a pearl into the mouth of a whale. Lucky for her, she popped right back out. As the years passed, Oona found bigger treasure and even bigger trouble. It's a good thing she has Otto. Oona rescued Otto from an oyster net when he was just a pup. She taught him tricks like sit, roll over, and walrus. He looks like a walrus, doesn't he? And her favorite trick, puffer fish. Can you do puffer fish? Like that? Good. Oona and Otto searched for treasure nearly every day. They uncovered keys and coins and buttons and bottles. Sometimes they even found lost gold. And sometimes lost glasses. But there was one special treasure Oona could never quite reach. The crown. It was extra sparkly in a way that made Oona's heart thump. But the crown was stuck deep in the rift, and not a pole or a pail or the sticky stick of a snail could get it unstuck. Still, Oona was determined. Her next plan was a good one. She'd knock the crown loose. Unfortunately, the current shifted. The lobster crate and rock drifted, and the squid, well, you see for yourself. See all that black stuff? The squid just squirted out all that black stuff, and she can't see. It's hard to say who was more surprised when the water cleared, Oona or the shark. Her third plan most definitely would have worked if the crabs hadn't been so crabby and the waves hadn't been so wavy. And if that long ship plank hadn't bumped her head hard before the greedy rift gobbled it up too. Poor Oona. This was getting personal. She shouted into the pit, "You can keep your dumb crown. I quit." Generally speaking, mermaids are not quitters, but at this point, one could hardly blame her. Instead of looking for treasure with Otto, Oona napped on the rocks with the sea lions. She drew pictures in the sand with the starfish, and she read from her favorite glass bottles with her land friends. All of this would have been perfectly fine, except Oona wasn't perfectly fine. Clearly, she was missing her spark, and a mermaid without her spark is like a seagull without an appetite. It's just unnatural. A seashell washed ashore. Oona studied it thoughtfully, and it gave her an idea. She got right to work. The next day, Oona peered nervously into the rift. Why did it look so much deeper and scarier than she remembered? Otto pretended to be a narwhal, making Oona laugh. Admittedly, the new treasure hunting goggles she'd invented were funny looking, but they were also her best shot at reaching the crown. She dove to the bottom of the murky rift. That's when Oona noticed something she couldn't see from above. A bridge made from a crate, a rock, and the very same plank that had plunked her on the head. And it led straight to the crown. But what was that rumbling sound? It grew louder and louder. The ocean floor shook and the water around Oona churned into a thick stew of swirling sand and sea creatures. She couldn't see. She felt trapped. Would the hungry rift gobble her up too? Through the commotion, Oona could hear something else in the distance. It was faint but comforting and familiar. It was the whales. Oona sang along until the rumbling stopped and the water cleared. Finally, this was her chance. Oona held her breath. Ready, steady, aim, clink, and hooray, she got it. We did it, Oona cheered, placing the crown on her best friend. It really is beautiful, she gushed. But these, Oona said excitedly, holding up her new goggles, these are spectacular. It's made. There she is. She finished them. She's got the goggles and the little horn and the crown. So she finally did get the crown because she kept trying and trying and trying. All right, everybody stand up. You know the song, The Wheels on the Bus. This is like that, except it's about the ocean. It's the waves on the sea go up and down. You ready? The waves on the sea go up and down, up and down, up and down. The waves on the sea go up and down all day long. Now let's do the shark in the sea. Go snap, snap, snap. You ready? The shark in the sea goes snap, 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 snap. Snap, snap, snap. The shark in the sea goes snap, snap, snap all day long. Now let's do the fish in the sea. Go swish, swish, swish. Ready? The fish in the sea go swish, 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 swish. Swish, swish, swish. The fish in the sea go swish, swish, swish all day long. The boats on the sea go toot, toot. Ready? The boats on the sea go toot, toot, toot. Toot, toot, toot. Toot, toot, toot. The boats on the sea go toot, toot, toot all day long. Now, have you ever been to the beach and seen the seagulls? The gulls, they swoop. Ready? The gulls on the sea go swoop, 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 swoop. Swoop, swoop, swoop. The gulls on the sea go swoop, swoop, swoop all day long. And the last one is the mermaids go splash, splash, splash. Okay? The mermaids in the sea go splash, 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 splash. The mermaids in the sea go splash, splash, splash all day long. That was very good. I've got time for one other book. This is What Do You Do with a Tail Like This? Look at all of these noses. Animals use their nose, ears, tails, eyes, mouth, and feet in very different ways. What do you do with a nose like this? Well, if you're a platypus, you use your nose to dig in the mud. If you're a hyena, you find your next meal with your nose. If you're an elephant, you use your nose to give yourself a bath. Now that's funny looking. If you're a mole, you use your nose to find your way underground. And if you're an alligator, you breathe through your nose while you're hiding in the water. Now, what do you do with ears like these? Look at all those different kinds of ears. Let's see what animals they belong to. If you're a jackrabbit, you use your ears to keep cool. If you're a bat, you see with your ears. If you're a hippopotamus, you close your ears when you're underwater. I didn't know they could do that. Now listen to this. If you're a cricket, you hear with ears that are on your knees. And if you're a humpback whale, you hear sounds hundreds of miles away. Now what do you do with a tail like this? Let's see what animals those tails belong to. If you're a giraffe, you brush off pesky flies with your tail. Oh, if you're a skunk, you lift your tail to warn that a stinky spray is on the way. If you're a lizard, you break off your tail to get away. Ooh, if you're a scorpion, your tail can give a nasty sting. And if you're a monkey, you hang from a tree by your tail. That looks pretty fun. Ooh, what do you do with eyes like these? Let's see. If you're a chameleon, you look 2 ways at once. You can look that way and that way. If you're an eagle, you spot tiny animals from high in the air. Oh, this one is kind of yuck. If you're a horned lizard, you squirt blood out of your eyes. That's strange, isn't it? If you're a 4-eyed fish, you look above and below the water at the same time. And if you're a bush baby, you use your large eyes to see clearly at night. Now, what do you do with feet like these? If you're a chimpanzee, you feed yourself with your feet. If you're a water strider, you walk on the water. If you're a blue-footed booby, you do a dance. If you're a gecko, you use your sticky feet to walk on the ceiling. That'd be cool. And if you're a mountain goat, you leap from ledge to ledge. Oh, what do you do with a mouth like this? If you're a pelican, can you use your mouth as a net to scoop up fish? If you're a mosquito, you use your mouth to suck blood. If you're an egg-eating snake, you use your mouth to swallow eggs larger than your head. If you're an anteater, you capture termites with your long tongue. And if you're an archer fish, you catch insects by shooting them down with a stream of water. Those are all some really neat kind of animals and what they do with their eyes, their noses, their feet, I guess, their tails, all of that, all right? I am so glad you guys came today. Let me show you what your craft is. You can make your own fish, like maybe big blub, like Miss Bruno read about. You can make your own fish. And he's white, so you color him however you want to color him. But he's got a couple of fins and a tail and some teeth, all right? And then you can color 5 green and speckled frogs. And let me tell you about our upcoming programs. Tomorrow, we're going to be over at the park. I think the weather's supposed to be pretty. And we have live animals. A group called Animal Tales is coming to talk and show us some really cool animals. And next week at story time on Tuesday, have you read about the police dogs that we have in Sylacauga? They're going to be coming, and a couple of the officers are going to come. He's going to read a book about police dogs, and he's going to show us what the police dogs do. All right, so I think that'll be pretty fun. I can't wait to see them. They're beautiful. One's a German Shepherd, one's a Lab, or something like that. All right. Thank y'all so much for coming, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right? Okay, guys. Good. Thanks.